Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on this first Fast Forward Masterclass. Hopefully, some of you are not a stranger to Fast Forward series, and you've joined us before in our other workshops where we really share strong business ideas and business tricks and tips that can help you go further. My name is Gopolang, Ngale-lekgetha, and I'm the Executive Head of Marketing for Vodacom Business. So masterclasses are really meant to help you as a small business owner or as an entrepreneur learn from others who have gone before you. So learn from their mistakes, learn through all the challenges that they've had, and take some of their tips and their experiences to help you navigate all the changes that we find ourselves going through today. Of course, today's session is called Smart Connections, because with everything that we've gone through, especially you as entrepreneurs and small business owners, we realize that during this pandemic, connections and forming smart connections has become very important. Whether it's forming smart connections with your customers or with your staff, wherever they are placed in this country during this time, it was very important to ensure that you stay engaged, stay connected, so that you can move your business further. So without further delay, today we have a fantastic entrepreneur. We have Monwabisi joining us. Monwabisi holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Information Technology and Business Systems from the University of Pretoria. So he's my homeboy from Pretoria there, Takis. As well as a postgraduate BA honors in Brand Leadership and Communications from Vega. An avid sports enthusiast, previously representing his province in cricket and soccer, so he's very fit, clearly. Monwabisi loves sport and keeps himself physically fit and mentally disciplined. He's a co-founder and editor-director at BLQ, formerly Blaque, a very sleek magazine that I remember, which is aimed at the discerning global African and focuses on African lifestyle, creativity, and aspirations, which I think is apt for all of us today on this platform. He also owns Brand Contact, a brand activations and marketing agency, as well as a number of restaurants. Monwabisi is a passionate and tenacious all-rounder who inspires and motivates the people around him. And we're hoping to get more and more of that inspiration shared with you here today. But before Monwabisi joins us on the screen, I'd like to just get a few housekeeping notes out of the way. On your screen, you should be seeing a chat panel. And I'd really like us to engage with the information that Monwabisi shares with us today by using that panel. So add comments, add any smiley faces or emojis that you want to also express. And more importantly, if you have questions, please use the question tab on the screen. And for those of you who are liking that question, vote for it, because at the end of the session, we will engage Monwabisi on a few Q&As using those questions that you have voted for. So again, before we start, let's just check that everybody got what I said. Can you please, on the chat panel, put an emoji, a smiley face or a high five if you've been joining our Fast Forward series sessions before. So if you've joined our Business Doctor sessions or any of our other partnerships and experts, just use the chat function there to put a high five or smiley face so that I know you will be engaging with us for the rest of the session. I'm sure all of you are doing that. And another tip, this is a peer-to-peer session. We really want you guys to engage with each other. Just as Monwabisi will be sharing his experience, please take the opportunity to, on your profile, put your company logo so that the people on this session understand who is in the virtual room with them. Chat to each other, get to know each other using that chat facility. This is your session brought to you by Vodacom Business as a partner that have the solutions to drive you further. Welcoming Monwabisi to take us through his experience. Over to you, Monwabisi.
Good morning and thank you, Gopolang. Vodacom is really steps ahead and streets ahead. So respect to you and the team. You've got a really great team, but I'd like to welcome everybody as well today. Spring is upon us, and we are definitely excited. I mean, you know, as entrepreneurs, you should be excited for this time, for such a time as this. I did prepare some notes that I'd like us to go through. I did prepare a presentation for us to go through, just so that we get to the same page and make sure that we're aligned and we take some notes, and you know, we can really sharpen each other, because sessions like this can only build us and build our businesses and really sharpen each other. So thank you to Vodacom Business for this opportunity. Hopefully my peers will also, you know, send some strong questions my way. So without further ado, I'd like to start. I think, you know, building a business or rebuilding a business in today's economy, first of all, I take your hat off to you. You know, I think we've come through such a turbulent time that no one has the right formula for this time, you know, but strong-minded people and strong career-driven people are built for such a time. You know, Africa, what do they say? This is Africa. Africa is no place for small-heartedness. So today we've themed it a hacker mindset. What is a hacker mindset? You know, do people know a lot about hackers? What do hackers do? I hope everyone has got a pen and a paper or something to make notes, because we'll then go through that at the end of the session. So without further ado, brand contact, a little bit about ourselves. We're an ad agency, very creative. We go through the line. These are some of our clients that we kind of have in our portfolio. So I'm very excited about talking to my fellow peers with regards to this. The reason why I show these clients is because these clients have also been hit by the same, call it pandemic, and trying to really build their businesses. And the most important thing is, how do you get out the blocks? You know, so before we get started, I've got a couple of house rules, you know, and the first one is, you know, God isn't coming back to give us extra confidence to say, oh, I forgot to give Gopolang and Monwabisi confidence. It's not going to happen. So we are it. We are the ones that have to carry this. We are the ones that have to get real with ourselves. We are the ones that have to, you know, believe that we've been given everything we need to navigate this time. Building a business, or even rebuilding a business, I think starts fresh every day. You know, I was thinking about the topic, and the first thing that comes to mind is, I build every day. I build a business every day. Why do I say this? Because I am everything to my business. You know, I'm a publisher, I'm a restaurateur, I'm a financier. We finance small businesses. I'm a father, I'm a mentor, I'm a franchisee, I'm an agency owner, I'm a builder, renovator. So I'd like to think of myself as a portfolio of businesses and a portfolio of business owners. Now, the challenge is, everyone thinks, well, you are so many things, you know, why don't you choose one? And the fact of the matter is, if you build a good team around you of people that can carry the vision. For example, I don't do publishing anymore. I don't run the restaurants. I don't run the franchises, but they're under the business. So for me, have you built a team strong enough to carry you through? Have you got a strong team that you can rely on? Or are you the chief, the cook, the waiter, the barman? Do you run your entire business on your own? If so, I think we find ourselves in a little bit of a problem. So we said that we're going to think of the hacker mentality. And the hacker mentality for me is an acronym for things that I do on a daily basis. So the first thing is H, obviously, as a hacker. Are you honest with yourself? Do you have frank conversations with yourself? You know, the other day, I'll give you an example. I had I call them come to Jesus moments with myself. You know, I was realizing, okay, maybe the businesses, you know, we've moved from 100 and something million rand business to less than half of that. So 60% of our income during the pandemic, level 4 and level 5 was literally slashed in half. And the first thing that came to mind is, should we then carry on? Should we then do this? And my honest conversation to myself is, we've built this business for 5-6 years, or the restaurants. We've been in business for 13-14 years. Am I exactly where I need to be? And the answer is, you are exactly where you need to be. Building starts every day. It starts from scratch. You have to make sure that you have very honest conversations with yourself. So if you start your day with an honest conversation with yourself, you can then allow yourself to really see actionables with what you need to do in the market. So are you an actionable person? Are you a doer? Are you a procrastinator? Are you a thinker? Are you a strategist? How do you identify yourself in all of this? And the other thing that I'd like us to touch on is, what are you championing? Or whose champion are you at the end of the day? How do you champion something? How do you move from the bank calling you and wanting their money to making sure that you champion something that the bank can see value in? And the fourth and most important one, for at least me, how do you kick it off? How do you move from depression one day because the business just did badly to kicking it off? Or how do you champion all of that kind of stuff? Because the thing is, entrepreneurs or business people don't get honest with themselves. And this is such a process that you have to follow, because once you're honest with yourself, you will see clearer. Honesty doesn't mean you like where you're at. It just means you have an honest view of where you are. So that's some of the stuff that one needs to start at. One thing that we're all guilty of, my team and I have a saying in the office, and it says, honesty versus facts. And the saying goes like this: excuses are well-planned lies. So if you keep making excuses for yourself, oh, the pandemic, oh, this, yes, we've had those things. Yes, we have had, we come from a really turbulent time, and I'm not taking that away. But at some point, our businesses need to kick in again. At some point, our hearts need to kick in again. Having said that, there are so many businesses that also grew during the pandemic. And how then do we take notes from those that did it before us? Excuses, clients' expectations versus clients' budgets. How do you manage that stuff? How do you manage going to the bank and the bank says, sorry, we've loaned you all you need, or go back to your investors and they're saying, listen, we now need to see a return. So what are the facts that are facing you vis-a-vis how are you feeling and what lies ahead for you? I've spoken about how, some businesses grew, for example, during this pandemic. And I've listed some there. Duchess Free Alcohol and Gin grew their business overnight. They literally, when it was level 4 and level 5, when we couldn't get alcohol sales, their gin and tonic free, alcohol free, they doubled in their stock. Grenadilla is a company that sells swimwear. They moved from selling swimwear to fresh fruit within 48 hours. And that business has literally doubled and quadrupled. Checkers, we're all familiar with Checkers. Checkers started the Checkers 60 minutes, where you can get deliveries and you order online and they deliver to you within 60 minutes. And that business makes R1 million a minute. So that kind of stuff, you are able to pick up and see, okay, if we're getting into such times, how agile am I? How agile is my business? How agile is my team? And what's the thinking around that? How do we think about that? How do we think about this change? Everyone talks online, everyone's talking digital, but we have a term in our office called phygital. You know, how do we marry the physical stuff with the digital stuff? How do we, and vice versa? How do we build on a phygital business? Because that's where the world is going. And I don't want to now delve into what you need to do, but the ability of what you need to transition and how quickly you transition. So for me, real talk is an honest one. How do we get our energies right? How do we make sure that we are on top of things? How do we make sure that we help pick up other businesses around us? We make sure that we check on our suppliers. We even check on the people who owe us money. You know, how are they doing? As opposed to, you know, fighting it through and making sure that, you know, so for us, you know, moving into such difficult times or being in difficult times requires the right energy. You attract what you portray and what you give off. And if your energy is not right, that then rubs onto other departments as well, you know. So how do we then get that right? How do we get our energies right? How do we make sure that we are on top of things and stuff? The first thing we do is remember why you started doing this. Remember why you started a business, or you're part of a partnership, or those things will carry you through the tough times, because you remember why you did this, and why you developed a business, and why, you know, certain things worked and they didn't work. So for us, it's time to get real. It's time to understand where we are as an economy, understand where we are as a country. I had a very interesting chat with a German friend of mine, you know, and I was telling them our ideas of what we wanted to do moving forward. And, you know, that conversation ended in a very ugly way for me. And the reason why I'm sharing this is, you know, it ended in an ugly way because I didn't expect his response. So I was telling him, you know, this is a great idea. This is what he then says to me. No, fantastic, Monwabisi. When we think of business ideas in the first world, 9 people have already implemented those ideas. So if you as Africans, you know, can really get time and to develop a business and grow it, it means you still have a market. And he said that kind of business that side wouldn't work. You know, it's almost like it felt like he was shooting down my idea. But when I really had time to get real with myself, I was actually saying, this guy actually helped me, because I might think this is a brilliant idea, but it's been tabled somewhere else and it's been run and tested. So how then do I build a business that's A, future-proof, and B, not going to be turned down? The reality is not everyone is going to see what you see. And not everyone is going to understand what you understand. The vision that you have for it and the work that is required for it to come to light is a very important moment for you as a human. Hits and misses. Why do we need to understand what are hits and misses? Why do we need to get real with ourselves? You know, Diana Ross had the saying, "I'm a winner, baby." And people didn't understand why a musician would think that they need to win. And ultimately, what has worked and what do we just seek to replicate our wins? And, you know, how do we take the losses and the wins and take those forward with us? How do we move and transition ourselves from just being I had a business that did this before lockdown, to now this is what my business is looking. It is okay to change. You know, I take my losses. Like I said, so my financials, I sat with my accounting team, and it wasn't a nice meeting. You know, it was a meeting where I had to explain myself to shareholders. I had to explain myself to my team and what the plan was to get us out of it. Now, I can take this and say the pandemic was a loss and our country is going into wherever. I can take those, or I can take the losses and say, right, as a result of this, we've seen this, and I don't even call it losing. In our world, we need to replace the word lose with learn. Because if I see it as a loss, I don't go back into the training ring. I don't go back into the ring to try and fight it again. And my learnings, when I tell my mind, okay, I've just learned a 60 million rand loss, it's very easy for my mind to capture that, as opposed to saying, I've just lost 50 million rand or 60 million. But for us guys, the important part is to make sure that we take our learnings. And what do we do with our learnings? How then do we make sure that we improve what we've learned and move forward, really? So in our house, we always say, you know, you need to pull yourself towards yourself. You need to wusa. And I think if you haven't done that, or you haven't had the opportunity to make sure that you do that, a lot of my team members run to their glasses of wine, but because I don't drink, I run to the gym. And the important part, though, is to have a relationship with yourself and understand what it is that is forth, what is the mission ahead, what do you need to do as a team. Ultimately, you know, the big thing for us and what I'm trying to now encapsulate here is, you know, it really takes a village to raise a business. And at some point, we really need to see that and seek the help. You know, like the programs Vodacom are running, the business finance stuff they look at for entrepreneurs and for businesses that were also hit. Those are the things that, you know, raise the village. It might not be the amount of money that you require at that present moment in time, but it's a step in the right direction. You know, you look for people that can speak life into your business, speak life into you, speak life into your team. I have a series of mentors that I rely on, and just level grounded people that have been there and that have you know, traveled the road. It might not be as extensive as COVID, but they've traveled the road. How do they look at things? How do they see things? What should we be working on? What should we be not working on? What should we be, you know, and you take all of that and you really have that business of saying, I am surrounded by people that want the best for me. Do you have people around you that look for the best in you? You know, I always tell people, you know, corporate has such a beautiful model. You know, you've got a board of directors. Small businesses, do we have a board of directors? You know, do you have, and it doesn't have to be 50 to 20, it could just be 3 solid minds that you then present your financials at the end of the year. And every 6 months you just meet them and you have a board meeting, and they don't have to be in your business. They can assist you from a, well, have you thought of this? Have you done that? Has your team thought of this? You know, so that you get lots of different perspectives on your business. Because a lot of mistakes that we make is we work in our business. We don't work on our business, you know, so you're not going to see what other people see and the values that other people see if you remain thinking that you are the end all and be all of your business. That's the first mistake we make. And that should be school fees. You know, we don't have to make the same mistakes. Everyone doesn't have to make a mistake. Also, you know, I've touched on who do you talk to? What do you read? You know, what kind of books do you read? You know, do you share any books? Does anyone share anything? Who's in your circle? You know, who really is sheds light onto you? Do you listen to your mentors? You know, it's not always about financial. I mean, you look at the Vodacom business. They're doing something now for us as entrepreneurs. They don't have to do this, because ultimately it's up to us to rebuild and make sure that we use our partners and our platforms to the best of our ability. Actionables in the market, very simple. Very simple, guys. Give people what they want. Gone are the days where you think, I was thinking of starting this and doing that and doing that. Well, the reality is people know what they want, and supply them with what they want. You know, if you can get it at a best price, make sure you price yourself right in the market, make sure you understand what you're doing in that market. And ultimately, that's what business is boiling down to, is the demand for something, and you are supplying to that demand. High demand, less supply. Less supply, high demand. So it depends where you see yourself within that scope. One thing that we as a team, now I've spoken a lot on the I, but I think from a team perspective, what did we win and what did we lose? Because if it takes a village to raise a business and the team understands, maybe the team members might see something that you didn't see. What did we win? What did we lose? What does the market want? What are we happy to do? You know, so I'll give you an example. There was a legal firm that we were assisting, you know, with their brand and their corporate identity and stuff. And what we really noticed was this legal team was really strong on the ground with their clients. So their clients didn't want to do virtual meetings and all that. And what we've now done is we've set up a station where clients can come in, give a brief virtually, and that brief then gets answered within a specific time. So now they've got a virtual office and a physical office. So we were there to do one thing, and we saw a gap within that legal firm that they could then start doing virtual meetings and briefs. And what we've then discovered is that they started training their clients to start going to courts virtually, because courts weren't taking in physical cases. Courts were now starting to do virtual cases. And 9 out of 10 times, a case will get dropped or reminded because someone had poor signal or some. So they've now set up a virtual station for all their clients, where they know the internet stability is stable. They know their clients are not going to miss their appointments. So those are the kinds of things that we were happy to do and adjust very quickly. My biggest lesson, I think, for me, around building a business is the same thing you sold last week may not be the same thing you sell this week. So how adjustable are you? You know, in our business, we don't start something until we understand the SWOT analysis. So we call this the SWOT analysis, which is effectively, what are our strengths? What are we weak in? What are the opportunities? And what are the threats? You know, in our business, the threat was our clients are not spending as much as they should. Our big corporate clients are not spending as much as they should or would like to, because there's not much happening in the marketplace. And our strategy was then simple, to say, okay, how then do we take this digital? So last year we did some award ceremonies for them. This year we went virtual. We made sure we delivered food parcels. We made sure we did. So the things that we are known for, we still did on a digital scale. And remember, our word for the year was phygital. So how do we make sure we match the physical work that we do versus the digital work that we do? And I can be glad to report to you guys that we've literally doubled our sales since adopting that mentality. So understanding, you know, the quadrants, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, where are the opportunities and where are the threats? And that changes all the time. But once you understand the business you're in, it's easier for you to then maximize on those opportunities. Something that I'd like to share, you know, that we really don't take time to understand, you know, roles versus skills. So within our roles, within our team, we had events planners, we had events coordinators, we had activations managers, we had positions, right? We had positions, and we then need to look, okay, where is our skill set? What are we really strong at? What can you know, what can't you be fired from? You can't fire Michael Jordan from basketball. You can't fire Tiger Woods from golf. You can't fire Serena Williams from tennis. It's who they are. It's innate in them. It's what we can even go as far as saying it's their God-given skills. You know. So what are the skill sets that you can't be fired from? You know, so we've then had to look at it and say, okay, critical path management. What do we do really well? What do our clients do? You know, how do we term our client liaisons, client liaison, our creative concepts, and how do we execute that? Because that doesn't change. The skill sets doesn't change. The roles will change, but the skill sets don't change. So how do we change our thinking from I'm an events coordinator to a critical path manager, where you take a business through, it's the same principles, just packaged differently. You know, event coordinators, you're a client liaison. That is a skill set that you are then good with clients. So whether you're good with an event, then it stands to reason that you'll be good with clients. What we see, roles will become very redundant and skills will be repurposed. So what you will be hired based on what skill set you have or what you're good at and what the organization really needs, as opposed to, no, I'm an events manager. You know, so how do we then adapt those things? Because we're seeing those things happen. And how do we make sure then that we don't fall into those mistakes? You know, Sam Walton once said something very important. He says, most everything I have done, I've copied from others. Good artists copy, great artists steal. You know, Pablo, the famous artist, Pablo Picasso, it's not physically stealing something from someone and thinking you'll make it, but it's knowing that there's nothing new that we could do. We just keep reinventing and learning pretty quickly and ensuring that we use the information that we have and make sure that we, you know, Casio started watches, but Garmin and iPhone, or the iWatch, has now taken a normal Casio watch into a digital screen to now counting your calories. So those are the things that we great artists really do. You know, so to look at your skill sets and see how they help you solve problems in the market. Guys, the people who will really make it into this market are people who solve problems. Businesses are called problem solvers. When you are able to solve someone's problem, you have a business. And you can apply an old solution in a new way. That is what we call innovation. So effectively, what Vodacom is also doing is providing innovation within the business setup to say, guys, peer-to-peer, let's review ourselves. Let's see where we've gone right. But they've given us the platform to be able to do that. Another example, you know, is Google. You know, Google changes every day, changes its artwork every day, right? It's the simplest brand. It's literally got the colors. It changes its artwork. So if you go onto Google today, you'll find a different Google set. But ultimately, it's the most visited website in the world. And yet all it has is just a search thing where you just type. So how simple is your business? We have a philosophy in our business. We say, it's got to be so simple, anybody can do it. Because people just generally don't do the simple things in life. And when you keep it simple, you are then able to grow it. You give yourself a chance to ensure that you are then able to grow and make sure that you maximize. You know, Google, we change our clothes every day, but we expect our businesses to remain the same and the colors to remain the same and everything to remain the same. But how agile are we? How quickly do we revolutionize things? How quickly do we get off the blocks? And those are the things that we keep saying. Give people what they want. It will make your life easier. It will make our lives easier. You know, championing something is something very close to our hearts. We've decided as a business that work is love and work is made visible. You know, the reason why we say this is when you are able to adapt yourselves, and we've, for example, taken on an organization called Mentor Boy Child, which I sit on the board for. And we are champions there because we are championing the boy child to not grow up. You know, we know our gender-based violence errors. So we've chosen to be champions in that field to say, right, guys, how do we help the boy child to not repeat the things that we are seeing and stuff? Does that mean we're not going to earn money from it? Yes. Does it mean we give up our time? Yes. Does it mean we give up our resources? Yes. But the actual thing is, at the end of the day, we stand for something. We stand for that boy child, and we want a healthy boy child. We want healthy masculinity. We want to build healthy mindsets. And how do we do that? Is we spend time with the boys. We know that 70% or 80% of our boy children don't grow up with their dads. That tells you that there's a problem there. Does that mean we won't be able to make money off that? No. Does it mean we are then raising something? Yes. So make work that you love. I think that's what we are saying. Make work that you love. And can you tell that Michael Jordan loved basketball? Can you tell that Venus Williams loves tennis? Can you tell that Tiger Woods is a golfer? So a champion cause has also got to be greater than your personal ambition. It's got to be bigger than you. It's got to be magnanimous. We've got a thing in the office as well that we actually have a lot of things in the office. But the one is, if your dreams don't scare you, then they're not big enough. And if our visions for our clients and our business doesn't scare us, and it means we're not dreaming, we're dreaming shallow end, deep dive into a situation where you know that you're going to build a business that will outlive you, that will outlive your children, or that will outlive your family. That's what we're aspiring to do. And most of all, how do we kick it off, guys? School had something very, very important, and these principles we kind of now take into our everyday lives. So how do we become smart people? How do we become specific about our goals? How do we become measurable? How do we become achievable? How do we become relevant? And how do we time this? Put a time to your deadline. So I want to be the best agency on the continent. I'm giving myself 5 years to do this. And this is how we're doing it. And this is how we, and the minute you step out of South Africa, you're in dollar-based economies. So for us, we've then started venturing onto the continent, and we've got businesses in Ghana, we've got businesses in Nigeria. And the most important part there is making sure that we are in a dollar-based economy. Now, when you compare the Rand-dollar exchange, very different. So that is me in a nutshell to say, let's hack on, guys. Let's be honest. Let's achieve things. Let's kick into gear and let's champion things. From me, thank you very much. I will send it back to Gopolang.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Thanks so much, Monwabisi, for sharing your experience with us. You really mentioned so many interesting facts that I think apply to not just entrepreneurs and SMEs, but to all of us in our lives, So thank you for that. I just want to let all our guests know that there's the question panel on the side that you can use to post your questions for Monwabisi. Anything that you want to ask him, I'm sure he'll be willing to answer and share. But we've also have a poll running on the poll section on the side panel there. And some of the poll questions were, Monwabisi, and maybe you can actually give us your view of these, were, is dedication, honesty, and stress management, are those skills?
I think they're attributes to skills. They help you. For me, when we wake up in the morning, you don't need someone to say, oh, baby, please wake up. You can do this. Go do it again. If you are at that stage, you're in trouble, right? The attributes that we need on a daily is, even from a corporate perspective, is I'm alive, right? Let me be the best person I can be today. Because the scary part of what we forget, Gopolang, is that whether you leave another organization, I hate the culture of that and I want to do this and that, right? You will bring that onto your next thing if you don't rectify it where you're at. right? So for me, it becomes bigger. It becomes a bigger picture that rectify the things you understand. And those attributes of being on, we expect you to be honest. It's when you're in business, you are dealing with money, you're dealing with people's livelihoods, you're dealing with a different energy. We expect you to be honest. We expect you to be a driven person, because you know when you put your people at that stage, you understand that I'm trusting you, right, to fulfill a certain role. I'll give you an example with my sales team. I don't consider myself a CEO. I consider myself a salesperson, right? And the reason why I say that is because in my diary, I see 3 people a day. Okay? I don't call 3 people a day. I see 3 people a day, right? And that's 15 people a week. Okay? That's 60 people a month. Now, you can't tell me if I've seen 60 people in that month, 5 people won't want to do business with me. That's 8%, right? That's 8%. I'm giving my business permission to build and to develop and to grow its likelihood. You know, it's something that I practice every day. So when I see 3 franchise people, so we're looking at different franchises now. How do we build? So once I said, okay, I want to go into franchising. I said, who's the best at franchising at that point, right? We then went to Mug and Bean. We said, okay, Mug and Bean, we want to take out a franchise. They said, these are terms and conditions. This is what we need from you. This is how long it takes you. Now, by the way, I went there and I didn't have the money to do it, right? So for me, the biggest mistake we say is, you want to drive a Ferrari. Okay, have you been to the Ferrari dealership? Do you know how much that car costs? It doesn't mean you have it now. It just means you are planning for it to know what you're up against. Because the biggest mistake is, oh, Ferraris only get driven by such people. No, well, if you plan for it and you know the costs for it and you know what you're looking for, it doesn't mean you'll have the money now. Yeah. So I then went into my homestead. I said, right, I don't have the money that that Famous Brands is looking for. Who has it? The bank said, okay, great. We require X amount from you to show that you've also got skin in the game, right? And then the franchise is a good one. We like it, but now you need to now go raise this amount. Yeah. Right? So the reality of what I had to do now is to say, right, I need to raise X amount of money. Okay. So I then went back and said, okay, what do I have in my artillery? Okay, I've got a house, I've got this, I've got that, I've got a car, I've got this. What do I need from all of this? I can Uber now. So the first thing that went was my car. I then said, okay, I believe in myself. Let me go rent for the next 5 years, right? What did I do? I sold my house. 4 years into buying my house, I sold my house because I must believe in myself, right? And if I believe this is it. So I then took that money and I raised a little bit from my friends and I said, right, you will have 2%, you can sit on my board and then this is what your contribution will do. Yeah, so every month I report to those people and I make sure that those people understand the business did well, the business didn't do well, this is what we needed to do. I report to them. They're no longer friends now. I report to them.
Yeah, it sounds like you had a clear plan there. And I think that's what's important. Have that vision, understand what that vision looks like, feels like, tastes like, yeah, and put the action in. Yeah. Another question for you, Monwabisi. How do you balance creating work that you love and adapting to what the market needs? And that's a question from Lungelwa Silomtu.
That's a very good question. The reason why I mentioned the sales thing is you can put me in a sales environment and I'll adapt, right? So we run a portfolio of businesses. The business rules don't change. So the love for business doesn't change. So you can put me in a marketing position. You can put me in a sales position. You can put me with the accountants. The ethos and the rules don't change. The SWOT analysis doesn't change. What are my strengths in that position? What do I love doing? Okay, Some people don't think they're good at sales, but we sell every day. We sell to our kids, making sure that, hey, please eat, Nana, eat your vegetables, do this, and do. You're selling.
Yeah.
The reality is you're selling. You're saying, eat this, and this is what it will do for you. You know, but the difference is we don't package our sales in a way that people understand it. So if, for example, I had to sell you a car, right now, I would then, you know, let's say you come to the dealership and you know, I'd want to find out more about you. Okay, this is Gopolang, this is what, or this is Lungelo, this is what, Lungelo, how many kids have you got, right? So I then package, okay, you might not need a fast car, but you need a safe car, you need a reliable car. Man, I wish somebody bought me a reliable or a fast car. Because it doesn't matter what's under the engine in terms of how fast it is. Is it a V6? Is it a? It might be important to someone else, but to you, you're looking for safety. You're looking for reliability. You're looking for a car that can be serviced at a cost. And so I need to understand. There's that thing again, the attributes of why you need this product, right? And we don't adapt ourselves to that kind of thing. We wonder when you see Tiger Woods play and he wins a golf tournament, you don't see the 4 o'clock waking up, the gym session, the 4 hours training, you know, that kind of stuff. So how agile are we? How do we train our minds? How do we train our teams? You know, how often do we meet? What's the process around that? When we meet for a team, for example, we have a 15-minute power. You know, I know another trick I learned, in fact, from one of the Vodacom execs. You'd want to have a meeting with him. He says, okay, I'll give you 15 minutes. But when you get to that meeting, he's got a tall round table, right? He never had a seat in his room, in his office, because he then said, right, you have 15 minutes. I'm not here to get comfortable with you. You need something that I have. What is it that you, and I also then kind of started adapting those kinds of things, you know, okay, I need to give 15 minutes of my time to somebody. So therefore I need to give someone else 15 minutes, right? Because I've sown that. So those kinds of things that we love, it's too late for me to learn new skill sets. It's really too late. And when I say that is I can move careers, but the critical part is I'm going to follow the sales route. I'm going to follow the accounting route. I'm going to follow this route. Because then I take all those things, you know, if you enjoy people, be around businesses that enjoy people and look at that and learn from the best. So if you're looking at franchising, for example, now I've built my own restaurants, but I have the knowledge of how a formal franchise works. So if they're saying we're running 38% cost of sales, I now can't go and open a restaurant and then still wonder what cost of sales is. You know, those are the kinds of things we need to pick up. Is that who's doing it the best? Go meet the person. Drop them an email. You know, how do I do this when you do? It doesn't mean, please be my mentor. I can't stand those, right? Ask the question. And people will answer it. You know, how did you get to this? It's quick, it's to the point, and then we can move on, because people have knowledge, but do we tap into that knowledge that people have?
And I think part of tapping into that knowledge, as you mentioned earlier, is really having the perfect pitch for those 15-minute meetings, right? So you can stand your ground and share what it is that you need quick and effectively for that person to understand how to partner or share whatever it is that you need from them. But now, you've been in so many businesses, and now you're a restaurateur too, with a wonderful restaurant, the Pronery in Ilovo, which I enjoy. But Cheslin Higgins wants to know, how do you decide what is a good business idea?
I think it's how far you're willing to go for that business idea. You know, how much belief system do you have in that? And you know, previously we would get away with a lot of murder. Now businesses, when you don't give people what they want, you fall short. So how do we take on businesses? does that business have a champion? Because the reality is I'm not going to be that champion, right? But how now? So my job now is to look after the people who are championing those businesses. I'm not going to physically get into, I've got business, for example, we've got the restaurants. I don't know all my waiters.
Yeah.
I know all my managers, because those are the people that need to run it. So I need to trust them to trust the process. So my time is spent with the managers. Managers, this is what you do with so how do we take on new businesses? How hungry are you when you bring a business to the fore? So how do we take it on? Is Gopolang willing to go the 10th mile for that business? And is Gopolang adaptable enough to know that, Pronary, we thought, we're a local eatery, right? But the clientele that was coming were coming in, they thought we were fine dining. So we couldn't just now remain a local eatery. The clients were telling us how to adapt. And the food then also had to improve. The chefs had to improve. They had to go for additional courses. It's cooked from a place of love, but they also had to understand the clientele. And our clientele is well-traveled. People who understand seafood will understand that seafood's not cheap. It's very healthy. How do we distribute it? How do we get it? How do we source from reliable suppliers? How do we make sure? All that kind of stuff now. We didn't have to learn afresh, because why? We had a franchise model that we could go on. So if we order, we don't just order, this is it's finished. We have an ordering system, minimal stock. How do you carry maximum stock? How do you, how do you speak to your sales guys, your team guys who go see client, that kind of stuff. So for me, it's really how agile or how hungry the person is to say, listen, I've got a strong business case. Well, if you've got a strong business case, I sold my house. What are you going to then give up?
Fantastic. And I think just to add on to that, when you're passionate and have that strong business case and are willing to go far enough for it, we will obviously want you to focus on accomplishing that and let the technology partners that you have in your business help you do the rest, like you have for your ordering systems and your distribution systems. So get the right technology to help you focus on the things that you're not passionate about, so that you can focus on what's important to you as a business owner and getting that idea right.
Perfect.
So we've got a few.
I'd just like to add something there. When you go to a general practitioner doctor, a GP, your normal GP, pay 500-600 rand, probably at the most. When you go to a gynecologist, when you go to an obstetrician, those are specialized services. So therefore, they charge more for their specialized services. So what do we go to Gopolang for, right? For those specialized services that no one else can do besides you. And that's what we're looking for now. We're looking for specialists. Business is looking for specialists, people who you don't have to wake up in the middle of the night to tell me I've got to go sell. I'm up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And Monwabisi, I must tell you, Vodacom Business is one of those specialists. We have fantastic technology and digital transformation tools for small businesses and entrepreneurs like yourself. And I'm sure our guests on the virtual room can go see what we have available for them on our website, vodacombusiness.co.za. But before we close off and before you give me a parting shot, I just want to tell our guests that we're having more of these masterclass sessions with other entrepreneurs or SMEs and business owners like Monwabisi. The next one will be on the 23rd of September. And there we've got Farad Suleiman, who's a CEO of Simply Connect, and he will be talking about all things exceptionally smart entrepreneurs do to be successful, just like you shared with us today, Monwabisi. So we'll be getting Farad's take on what he's done to be exceptionally successful. And in that masterclass, he'll also be sharing insights from, the world, some of the world's greatest entrepreneurs, some of the tools that they've used in his own experience. So I urge everyone to join us on the 23rd of September for another masterclass. Of course, they can still join us for all our other Fast Forward series workshops and training sessions, which are free for small business owners like yourselves to learn about the technology that is available to help you. We've got partners like Business Doctors, as I've mentioned before, to help you on how to run your business. We've got partners like Google and Facebook to help you how to market online so you get access to new customers and many others. So I'm asking all our guests to just go check that out and RSVP and make sure that join us. But we've got 5 minutes, and I want to give that 5 minutes to you, Monwabisi. Just a few parting shots that you want to have cemented in our guests' minds.
Yeah. Wisdom is free. You've got to be hungry, and aggressive. Gone are the days where, Mandela had to be. We don't have to do that anymore. We need to be hungry. We need to be aggressive. We need to go for it. The continent is there for the taking. The world is there for the taking. The digital platforms are there for the taking. The Facebooks are there. The Business Doctors are there. Use them. Wisdom is free. You can navigate business on zero budget because everyone thinks, I need this funding, I need that funding. No, you don't. You need to use the tools that you have. You need to use, anything that's happened in history. You think of the Last Supper, you think of anything that's happened. It's been done over a meal. So how many people are you breaking bread with? How many people are you testing your theories and your knowledges with? Wisdom is free. Ask questions. The worst that someone, we go into pitches every day. The worst that someone can say to you is no. We move on. But if you've got a list and a pipeline of people that you can talk to, one of them, you just need one, just to understand your vision. But you need to be out there. You need to be selling your services. You need to be, wisdom is free. You need to chat to people. That's all I can say. Thank you, Gopolang.
I love that. Wisdom is free. I'm going to take that with me. And also, wisdom is free for you as our guests on this virtual call. Please feel free to call our SME desk on 082-1960 if you have any questions about any of the solutions that we can help to take your business further together. Thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you to Monwabisi for sharing all his wisdom and his experience with us. And we look forward to seeing you guys on the 23rd of September. Have a fantastic afternoon and go get them.